process for contesting an outcome evaluation. That's a local process that each district should have some sort of appeals process, but that's not what we're talking about here. This appeals window is just for appealing those errors in any kind of inaccurate data in the rep. So during this appeals window, just things that educators will need to do. If they are educators in an instructional assignment, they should log into their MOEX account, michigan.gov/MOEX, and check the accuracy of their evaluation data. For educators in non-instructional assignments, they'll need to contact the district to obtain a printout or a screenshot of the rating that the district submitted to the rep. So since MOEX only brings over ratings from educators in instructional assignments, those in non-instructional will have to contact district for that printout of the rep. If there is a discrepancy in ratings from their records and your records, educators should contact the district that reported the data to learn about the district process for submitting a data appeal. And then also they should be proactive and follow up to ensure that an appeal is submitted by the district during the September 1st to December 1st, 2017 window. So it's very important for that follow-up. And, to follow up, educators, if they're in instructional codes, they can check their MOEX, making sure, checking if it gets updated. If not, they'll have to contact the district directly to obtain another screenshot of the rep to prove that it's been changed. So that's just a little bit about the appeals window. We're going to go a little more in depth on MOEX and the rep. We're just stopping here. Again, if you've called in and you have some questions, we will, for those of you who do have Adobe Connect, we will be answering questions via the Q&A, and we will be able to fill those out after this. We're going to export the document to a Word document, and we'll send those completed questions out to you. If you do have some questions and you're not able to access Adobe Connect this morning, we will have our contact information at the end of this session in order for you to kind of contact any of us individually with your questions as well. We do appreciate if we kind of withhold from verbal questions at this time due to the fact that we have 124 participants. So we appreciate that. All right. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Melanie Love, and she's going to talk a little bit about effectiveness ratings and the certifications that require ratings. Take it away, Melanie.
Hi, this is Melanie. And, we're going to start with about certifications that require ratings. So there's some confusion about who needs ratings and who doesn't. So keep in mind that only those teachers who are listed as functioning in instructional roles need ratings to progress to the next certificate.
Just another quick reminder, please mute your cell phones. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, we're having a little technical difficulty with Melanie's mic, so we're going to try to get that fixed for everyone.
Okay, so everybody should be able to hear me a lot better now. And to continue, among those in instructional roles, the law that's already in place requires ratings for those renewing an advanced professional certificate and also for those progressing to the advanced professional certificate from the professional certificate. Beginning July 1st, teachers progressing from provisional to professional certificates and teachers progressing from the interim occupational certificate to the occupational certificate also need ratings. So who can view teacher ratings? All the ratings data is reported to the Center for Educator Personnel Information, or CEPI, and maintained in the REP. The ratings data is pulled from the REP to be viewed in MOEX, the Michigan Online Educator Certification System. Teachers labeled in instructional roles are able to view effectiveness ratings in MOEX. Teachers whose roles are not instructional cannot view effectiveness ratings in MOEX and should contact their school to obtain a printout of the ratings submitted to the REP. Teachers holding a valid Michigan teaching certificate should review the accuracy of their evaluation data. They can view it in MOEX if they're labeled instructional, or they can contact their district to see the evaluation data if they're labeled non-instructional. Who does not need ratings for certification? There are about 7 instances when an educator does not need ratings for certification. Most of them involve renewing existing certificates. If you are not progressing but renewing a provisional, professional, interim occupational, or occupational certificate, you don't need ratings, nor do you need them if you are a school administrator, licensed school guidance counselor, or school psychologist. So this is a chart comparing information and how it's handled by MOEX and by the REP. The REP is a reporting tool for districts to report information to the state. MOEX is a secure certification database for educators to create and access their private certification information. The REP may be accessed by districts anytime throughout the year. The REP is also where effectiveness ratings are stored. Only the teacher logging into his or her own account can view the teacher's information, including ratings in MOEX. Teachers labeled in instructional roles can log into MOEX to view their ratings. Teachers labeled in instructional roles have their ratings data pulled from the REP for viewing in MOEX. MOEX does not retain the ratings data. The teacher ratings are not stored in MOEX, only accessed. When the teacher logs out, the ratings information returns to the REP. The ratings are no longer viewable. The MDE cannot make corrections to the ratings data viewed in MOEX or pulled from the REP. Districts are able to make adjustments to effectiveness ratings in the REP during the appeals window, which, as was already specified, is September 1 through December 1. Please note, only ratings found to be inaccurate can be appealed and possibly changed during the appeals window. MDE cannot make changes to ratings. They must be changed by the school district during the appeals window. Incorrect assignment codes cannot be corrected. Missing user ratings cannot be added, and incorrect ratings cannot be removed during the appeals window. Districts provide documentation of the rating entered into the REP. The effectiveness rating screen and how to read ratings in MOEX. All right, so the first slide that we see here is the parts of the ratings page. So this is what a teacher sees after logging into his or her MOEX account and clicking on the ratings tab. As you can see in Figure 1, each year is listed in descending order. The submission correction date is the date the ratings were reported to the state or to the REP. The second column indicates the district that submitted the rating for the educator in an instructional role. The last column contains the teacher ratings. And when a rating is a link, as in the third column, the third rating in the ratings column here, you can click on the link and see the result of a ratings appeal. In this case, Figure 2 shows that the rating for the 2014-2015 school year was appealed and changed from effective to highly effective. The first rating was submitted to the REP in June of 2015, and the appealed rating was submitted in October of 2016 during the appeals window. Also remember that incorrect assignment codes cannot be corrected and missing years or ratings cannot be added during the appeals window. A missing rating. So you may or may not see a rating for the 2010-2011 school year, depending on whether or not the school district opted in for those for ratings in that year. Again, ratings cannot be added during the appeals window. Okay, and here we have the case of a missing year. You may have a missing year on your ratings page for a number of reasons. You were employed with the school, but they did not report you that way. You were not employed by a district that year, you may have been listed in an instructional role. I'm sorry, you may not have been listed as an instructor or in an instructional role based on your assignment code. You may also not see a year of ratings because incorrect identifying information for you was entered. For example, your PIC was entered incorrectly. Here we see multiple districts listed ratings in the same year. When you pull up your ratings, you might see a page that looks like this, where a teacher has 2 ratings for the 2013-2014 and 2011-2012 school years. Now, the reasons for this could be, one, the teacher worked for multiple districts and each district entered an effectiveness rating, or a non-employing district entered a rating in error. And for certification purposes, remember the rating defaults to the higher rating in most instances. If there are 2 ratings in the same year from different districts or schools, only 1 rating can be used to progress to the next level certificate. For certification purposes, as I said, it defaults to the higher rating. The exception is when the teacher is applying to progress from the progress to the advanced professional certificate from the professional certificate. For example, if 2 ratings are received in the same year and 1 is ineffective, the rating would default to the lower rating because the teacher is not allowed to have any ineffective ratings for the 5 years immediately preceding the application for the advanced professional certificate. And here we have a case where there are no ratings at all, no ratings data. If you're presented with a page that looks like this and there's an error message that says no ratings available, it's usually because your district incorrectly reported your position as non-instructional, or it could also be because you're new and you have not had any ratings reported to the rep at that time. If your position was correctly reported as non-instructional, contact your district for an evaluation printout from the rep. And now we will stand by for questions.
All right, again, just a reminder, to use the Q&A pod for any questions that may come up during this content. We'll try to get to you. And also for those of you joining by phone, if you can just email your questions, we'll give you the contact information at the end of this presentation. Feel free to contact us at that time. And we apologize again for the technology problems this morning. All right, if there are no further questions before we move on, then we're going to turn it over to Caitlin Groom.
All right, so before I get started, can you give me a yes verbal on if you can hear me? Yeah, comment that it's working? Yes, excellent. Thank you very much. So I'm going to cover the Educator Effectiveness Appeals process within the Registry of Educational Personnel, or the REP. Hopefully the REP is very familiar to many of you. I do see lots of REP data submitters, so this is potentially review if you submitted any of the appeals for the last window last year. So as of now, this will be the last time for educator appeals of data within the REP for educator effectiveness. So it's really important that all of those stragglers, like we saw after the last window that came to you in December after the 1st and into January and February and even now, that you communicate with the educators that this is really important, that they actually are getting into MOEX and looking at those, and that timeline of December 1st being the cutoff is communicated, because there really is no guarantee that there will be another data appeals window. So it's really important that people are aware of that and getting into MOEX and looking at their ratings there. As we have mentioned several times now, this is not a full data appeals. This is only specific to educator effectiveness. And with that, there is no exceptions allowed for adding new assignment codes or employment records. We have heard from several districts that there were employees that got missed being reported in the REP at all, or that they were reported with an assignment code that was non-instructional when really they were performing in an instructional role. So this really has emphasized to us the importance of making sure that your educators and your staff are being reported with the actual assignment code that is reflective of the assignment that they're doing. Again, this window, data appeals window, will cover the last 5 years of data. So you can view that within the rep, and teachers can view that within MOEX. So in order to submit an appeals, you will have to be an authorized user for the rep application, and you will need to follow the instructions that are provided in the following slides. And then we also have some resources on the rep webpage of CEPI's site that will help kind of walk you through that process. And again, you will only be able to submit those educator effectiveness ratings appeals for ratings that were originally submitted by your district. So if you have a teacher that has moved districts or worked in several districts for a school year, if the rating is inaccurate for the other district, not your district, they will have to work with that district to submit the appealed rating. So the first step to entering the data appeals is logging into the rep. So if you are not an authorized user of the rep application, I would recommend that you work with your authorized user for the rep. So your rep authorized users are going to be most familiar with the rep system, and this really is a function of that application. So I would not recommend getting new users just to submit educator effectiveness appeals. This should be handled by the same person that's doing the rep submission for those two standardized collections throughout the year. So again, you'll use your MEIS login once you have access to the rep and log into the rep. In the main rep page, under the data submission where it says personnel search, you're going to click that link to look for your employee. And here you are going to enter your identifying core information to identify that individual. So in this example here, we searched for John Smith. If you search for a common name or for really any name, you are likely to get more than one result. So I would not recommend searching by name alone. I would recommend using the PIC number that the employee has been submitted by your district with. Hopefully you have all those PIC numbers and are very familiar with them and have a repository to look them up. As I said, if you search John Smith, you're going to get several hundred results, and you'll have to sift through all of those John Smiths to figure out which one is your John Smith. So it's not a very effective way unless you like clicking lots of buttons, which I'm sure most of you don't. So once you enter that PIC or name identifying numbers, you click the search button. And if you're using the PIC number, you'll get one result. From there, you can verify that that is your employee, and then in the far right column under Educator Effectiveness, you're going to click that Details button. If you click the Details button and you get no results, or you get the message that has been listed at the bottom of the screen there, that note based on the PIC submitted, you do not have proper security access to view the district, or no data has been submitted, that really means one of two things. The first thing that can mean is that you picked the wrong John Smith. So if your John Smith has never been submitted by the district, you will get that message because you don't have access to view the data submitted by another district. If you know you picked the right John Smith and you get that message, what that means is that John Smith that has been submitted by your district has never been submitted with an educator effectiveness rating. So even if you've been submitting him as your maintenance worker for the past 10 years, if they were never submitted with an educator effectiveness rating, there's nothing to display there, so we just give you a message kind of reflecting that. So assuming you pick the right employee and you have access and they've been submitted with educator effectiveness, when you click that Details button, you'll come to this page here. Now, we've mentioned several times that for non-instructional employees that are trying to view their ratings that they were submitted with, they won't be able to view those in MOEX. This is the page that you should be printing out for those employees. So this is a summary of all the educator effectiveness data that CEPI has for those employees for the past 5 years. This will provide the submitting school district. It should be your district or a district that you have access to within the rep. It will display the current rating that the employee is submitted with, the assignment code so you can verify that that is or is not an instructional code, And then it has a Change To button, and that will only be available during the time that the appeals window is open. So if you do this search now, you will be able to access the page. However, that drop-down will not be active. It will just be grayed out kind of box there that you can't change anything. But come September 1st, that will be available, and you'll be able to make those changes. So this, again, is the page you'd want to print if you have anybody requesting a summary of educator effectiveness labels. There's not a report that you can pull within the rep that specifically pulls up one employee. This is really the best place to provide that information to them. So if you have a rating that you have confirmed through your district appeals process that needs to be submitted within the rep as an appeal, you can go ahead and click that drop-down button, again, only through the appeals window, September 1st through December 1st, and select the rating that the employee should have been reported within the original rep submission. So again, this is not a time for your teachers to say, you know what, all the documentation says that I was minimally effective, but I really think that I should have been submitted as highly effective. This is not the window for that. This is truly if there is the documentation to support submitting an appeals that you would be going into the rep and submitting that appeals within the system. So if you have multiple years to make changes to, you can go ahead and make all the changes in one swoop. So change all the years that need to be changed, and then if you go down to the bottom, you can click that Save button. That will refresh the page, but it will not take you to a new page. So once you click Save, you'll want to go through and make sure that any of the years that you submitted that appealed rating for, that you see a new kind of data point under the previous educator ratings. So that's on the far right of the screen. And you should see what the rating was previously, and under the current section, you'll see what you entered it in today, or whatever day you're submitting that appeal. So you do have the history. That's another way that you can confirm with your educator that you did submit the appealed rating. That's not kind of the end of it for them, though. So they should, again, be logging into MOEX after you communicate to them that they've had that appealed rating submitted. They should be going back in there and double checking and making sure that the MOEX system is picking up on that appealed rating. So there are a couple of reasons why a teacher may not be able to see their ratings in MOEX. And the first place that I would recommend that you have them check is the PIC number that's associated with their MOEX account. It is in the core kind of demographic information in the teacher's record in MOEX. So if they aren't sure what their PIC number is in MOEX, it's there. And then you'll want to double check your rep submission and see what PIC number is being submitted for them in the rep collection. If the PIC numbers do not match, then the systems don't know that it's the same person, and you'll want to ensure to contact CEPI, and we can connect those PICs, and then the systems will align and they'll be able to view those ratings. So the other reason that a teacher may not see a rating in MOEX is the assignment code. So if they were only ever reported as a bus driver or any of those non-instructional positions, that's not one of the codes that would be using, assignment codes that would be using educator effectiveness for certification purposes. So that will not display in MOEX. So if you have a teacher who is in a non-instructional capacity or an administrator, their data will not display in MOEX. Again, you can go to that rep summary page and print the details of the educator effectiveness if they're looking for that confirmation. And with that, that kind of wraps up the rep submission of those educator effectiveness appeals submissions. Do we have any questions related to that? So one of the questions that we did receive is, can you generate a list of PIC numbers for your district and rep? So there's a couple different reports within the rep system that you can access to do that. One of the most kind of useful reports, I think, is the download rep data file. That does download as an XML file, so you will want to do a save as. Don't open it up right when you download the file, otherwise it'll be a mess and you won't really know what you're looking at unless you're really savvy with XML. But what I would do is save that as a file on your desktop, and then you can open it within Excel, and it opens it really nice and pretty as a table. That will give you all of the assignment information as well as the PIC numbers submitted by your district. There are a few other reports that you can get kind of a reduced data set for employees. So the detailed assignment summary report will give you the buildings that each teacher was submitted in and the PIC number with the assignment data and FTE. But I would recommend looking through those reports and seeing if there's something that might work better for your purposes. But again, that download rep data file will give you a complete summary of all the data submitted for your district, and then you can kind of filter accordingly and work with the data that way.
So we've been actually getting a lot of questions about communication to teachers and whether they are getting this information as well. Yes, we have been in communication, and we actually have a webinar for this afternoon for teachers, and we have filled the room with that, so we're going to actually have to schedule a second webinar to provide this information. But to answer some further questions, yes, we do ask the districts to share this information with their teachers to make sure they're in communication with teachers and letting them know what they need to do in order to check their evaluation ratings. So both those. We have been talking to them and do have a webinar plan for teachers, but also please, we're also asking districts to communicate with their teachers as well and let them know what they need to do to check their evaluation data to make sure that, if needed, a data appeal is filed in between the September 1st and December 1st window. All right, so just a couple things that are upcoming. First, just kind of a what to expect, after this webinar. So next week, you will all receive an email that will have the completed Q&A. So we'll take all the questions we received and make sure we build out answers and then send it back out. We will also share the survey link. We will have the survey link available here in a little bit as well. You get another copy of the PowerPoint deck as a PDF file. And any upcoming webinars that are scheduled, we will share the registration link to those. And then also, if available at that time, a link to the webinar recording. Then starting today until September, which is only a week away, but you should ensure that your district has a plan to kind of handle the data appeals window. In early September, recording this webinar will be posted on each of the office's websites. So it should be posted on the Office of Educator Talent's website, which I'll share the link of that with everyone in a second. Also, OPPS and CEPI's website as well. And then that window opens September 1st to December 1st, in which districts, public school academies can submit data appeals within the REP for inaccurate teacher evaluation data submitted for the past 5 years. And again, this does cover the past 5 years. Real quickly, although not related to effectiveness ratings, but related to educator evaluations, we do want to the Office of Educator Talent would like to make you aware of an upcoming regional training. We have a Student Growth Collaborative, which is being jointly offered by MDE, MEA, AFT, MESA, MASB, MEMSA, and MASSP. And so it's about efficacious measurement of student growth for educator evaluations. So we provided the link to the SMORE, so a little newsletter that will provide you with more information about that Student Growth Collaborative. And with that Student Growth Collaborative, we are asking for administrators and teachers to kind of join to go to these trainings. So please check that out. Finally, a couple resources for you. There are several documents related to educator effectiveness ratings. Many of these documents are actually going to be updated within the next week, so you may want to hold out until September 1st before accessing these documents, but I want to provide the link for each of them. So covering educator evaluations, one, the ensuring state evaluation data is accurate document. We then have the evaluation FAQ and evaluations at a glance. For certification, the how to read your effectiveness ratings screen, which has all the information that you've seen here today. so that document is accessible to you. And then there's a long list of certification guidance documents. The advanced professional and professional certificate documents that we referenced are available online. And again, those documents will be updated by September 1st. So you want to check that at that point. Also related to the REP, the Educator Effectiveness Appeals. So again, the document with the information that you saw today. And then also the fall 2017 data field descriptions, just give a little more in-depth look at the REP, especially in this case, the Educator Effectiveness data field, and information to you. As I mentioned earlier, I also want to provide you with the links to each of the office websites. So for the Office of Educator Talent, that website is www.michigan.gov/MDE-edevals. For the Office Professional Preparation Services, they have two sites, one related to MOEX and then one related to the certification with obtain, renew educator certification. And then we have a link to CEPI's site as well, so www.michigan.gov/CEPI. So you should have access to that if you've downloaded the file or just use the PDF file that we emailed out. You'll have those links built in there as well. And finally, before we go, one, if you notice in the top right corner of your screen right now, you'll see an end of webinar survey. If you could kindly click that link and access that survey to kind of give us feedback. That's what we want to hear. Feedback on today's session as well as future sessions. Anything that you want to hear in the future from our webinar series from the Office of Educator Talent. But if you could fill out that survey, we'd greatly appreciate it. And also the contact information for the offices, since we had those technical difficulties, and we apologize for that. For questions that were not able to be asked on the Q&A pod in this form, please feel free to address any questions about educator evaluations or effectiveness ratings to mde-edevals@michigan.gov, or specifically questions related to MOEX. You can address those to MOEX support@michigan.gov. Or if you have questions that are related to the REP, you want to address those questions to CEPI@michigan.gov. So we thank you again for joining us today. Hopefully this information was helpful. Please, again, feel free to share this information with your teachers. We are in communication with them through the webinar this afternoon and another webinar that we will be scheduling, but it's important for you also to give this information to your teachers. So feel free to use this presentation and share with them. Again, just a reminder, we will go through any questions that are being submitted right now, and if we did not get to your question, we apologize, but we will get to it and then send that back out in the Q&A document. So don't worry, we'll make sure that every question is addressed. So again, if you can just take a couple minutes to fill out the end of webinar survey. And then we thank you again for joining us. Have a fantastic day.